tonight. So my name is Marissa Dienstag. I am the Director of University Events and Ceremonies here at CU Denver. So hi, welcome. Hopefully you're here to learn all the exciting things about commencement, and hopefully I can also answer them for you. If for whatever reason, if I can't answer you because it's still in process, then I will make sure to get the answer for you and we'll go from there. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share a couple of slides. Part of it's just information. Part of it is hopefully answering some of your questions. And then what I'll do also is I'll navigate then and show you our commencement website because we put in a lot of work into it and it should be kind of a catch-all, hopefully answer as many things as possible. So I'll show you and we'll navigate that. And then, yeah, like we said, we'll open it up for questions and hopefully it'll be just a fun night of commencement talking. So with that, let's see if I can share my screen. Let's see. Okay. Oh, who can share? Host. There we go. All right, so let me know. Can you all see? I have open right now the commencement information session page. Fantastic. Wonderful. So I'm going to specifically right now talk about the spring commencement just because that is the closest thing that we have. If you do have any questions about fall, we can always answer those later as well, just because it is a different site, literally a physical different site. But I'm going to focus predominantly on spring, which is happening in May. So again, just some information. We have over 2,000 individuals who are eligible to graduate in the spring. So far as of Friday, I get weekly reports. We have about 1,400 students who have actually registered to walk and rented their regalia. Just so you all know, communications that have been going out to your students, or if students we have on here, starting February 18th, we had the website go live with all the updated information for spring. And that's the day we started communicating with graduates. And then we've been sending bi-weekly emails just to remind students rent regalia, check out the website. If you need to declare to graduate, make sure you're doing that. So they've received maybe like 5 or so emails since then. And then just so you all know, just the different deadlines we have shared with the students, March 23rd was one of the deadlines for free on-campus pickup. The on-campus pickup is at the end of April, just here at the Lawrence Street Center. And then April 13th, so that's coming up this weekend. So it's actually very timely that I'm presenting today because April 13th is the last day to register. So those are the two big deadlines that we let folks know. This is just general information right there. So now we're going to start diving a little bit into commencement, and this is a little bit frequently asked questions that people ask. Live streaming, that is a big one individuals ask, especially for those who are not able to attend in person for numerous reasons. So we do offer a live streaming. That link will actually be up on the website about a week before. So you all can share that link with your friends, your family, any other loved one, and you can have watch parties of commencement while it's happening. We will live stream both the morning session and the afternoon session. Another very frequently asked question is guest ADA or limited mobility seating. Yes, we absolutely want to make sure we're accommodating guests so that way they feel comfortable within the location. They don't have to try to navigate stairs if they are unable to do so. So that is a question we do ask students directly on the registration site when they are registering. However, if students have forgotten or all of a sudden a grandparent or aunt or uncle or whomever can now attend, they just need to email the commencement email and let us know, and we'll just add them to the list. And then the last big question before I get into some of the smaller frequently asked question is there ticketing? For our spring ceremonies, we actually do not have ticketing. The only times we have ticketing are typically in December, and that's really a fire and safety, and it is regulated that we are required to do so just because we have hit capacity at the convention center. So if you're a December grad on here, We do tend to do some sort of ticketing or limited guest number, really to be able to make sure that we are not getting in trouble with the city. But for spring, we have plenty of room for guests. So if you want to bring 2 guests or you want to bring a family of 30, the more the merrier within spring. I'll pause for just one quick second. These are just quick things that I'm kind of going through. And I don't know if we have any just initial kind of questions just based off of what I've covered so far.
We do have a question about where can I get commencement invitations from? I ordered the graduation package from Hef Jones, but they only included announcements.
So we don't actually do any internal invitations, and thanks for asking that. That wasn't something I was going to cover. So we don't actually have any invitations. I know that there are different event websites that people have utilized before to send out email invitations to folks, or you can always, like any print services, they'll do mailed invitations. So that's something external that we just don't have internal capabilities for. Cool.
Okay, another question about what you were just talking about for ADA
Sure.
individuals. How does that work?
So I will actually come back to that one. We'll have a map so that way it's a little bit more visual. All right. All right, I'm going to keep kind of running through real quick. Hopefully I can answer some of your questions. If not, then we'll just tag team and answer a couple more. Okay, so the other big thing that I really want to pay attention to and really highlight is our clear bag policy and just security and safety. So being a facility that is very that this is very common for, we are going to have a clear bag policy. And so there are some visuals that we have here as well. So any clear bag is 12 by 12. You can bring a plastic 1-gallon storage bag. You can also bring a clutch bag. And so the clutch is going to be no larger than 4.5 by 6.5 inches. So please keep in mind for you, your guests, just so you know, it's all faculty, all staff, all volunteers, all students. That is a requirement for the facility. So we will have signage outside. We will have volunteers outside reminding folks, but we really want to try to get the word out as much as possible, just because it's about a 10-minute walk from your car to the main entrance. And we want to try to mitigate that as much as possible. So please, please, please go find your cool, clear plastic bags that you want to bring everything in, because we won't allow backpacks. Another big one is we won't allow diaper bags either. So make sure that you all are anything, if you have children with diapers or bottles, make sure all of those are in a cleared plastic bag for us, just because we're trying to get 10,000 people in as quickly as possible. And so being able to have clear plastic bags allows us to do so in a very timely manner. Where in years past, where we just had bag size limitations, it took a very long time and people were waiting in line, sometimes 45 minutes to get inside. So to help us get through, it's also to help with some security. So please keep that in mind, share all the information to everybody. And then the last thing is just everyone, this is very common. We've been doing this for years. It's also something within the facility is we will have magnetometers. So if for whatever reason you do have somebody who can't go through a metal detector, whether it's the pacemaker or what have you, we will have individuals there to wand folks. And again, all of our faculty, all of our staff, all of our volunteers, students, family, guests, everybody is required to go through those at all of the different entrances. Correct. So I'm looking, sorry, the chats are popping up, so I see a couple of them. But do you see any questions specifically related to clear bags as they're coming in?
Um, a little bit of a connected one. A daughter, it requires insulin and to be
Mhm.
protected in a cool pack. How should the daughter handle that for graduation?
If it is something that's medical, then we will allow it through. It will be checked though, so please keep in mind. So I know individuals will have some oxygen tanks, things along those lines. We will let anything that's medical through, but it will 100% be checked. So like insulin, yeah, all that stuff.
Question in terms of parking, do we have parking on campus or we park outside?
We have, I'll get to that a little bit, but we have a lot, and CU Denver thought it was very, very necessary to provide complimentary parking to guests and families. And so we have picked up the tab and we're going to pay for parking to rent out the entire lot. So that way you all get free complimentary parking
Okay.
at the facility. All right. Okay. I'm just going to keep running through. But yeah, big things, magnetometers, clear plastic bags, or just like sporting events, some of them are like, if you can bring no bags, that'll be even better and you can get to a seat. All right, so I'm just going to kind of run through again some frequently asked questions that our office gets on a regular basis. So arrival time, everyone wants to know, what time can I get into the facility? So where you arrive also is kind of covered in this question. So graduates will enter in through a south side entrance door, and I'll bring up a map later so you can visually see it as well. And then guests will enter through the east side of the building. So the reason I say it's a long walk is because parking is going to be on the west side. You have to go all the way up the south side, and then you enter in on the east side of the building. And then we have two different ceremonies. We have a morning ceremony and afternoon ceremony. Doors will open 90 minutes before each ceremony. So for our 9:30 for guests and students, doors will open at 8 o'clock. And then for our 2:30 guests and students, doors will open at 1 o'clock. This is all on the website that we'll go through, and I can show you how to navigate for that information. As I mentioned, parking, there is parking. We provide complimentary parking for all of our guests, all of our students. It's on the west side of the building. Keep in mind, parking is first come, first serve, as is seating. So I highly, highly recommend you aim to try to get there by that 8 o'clock time frame. What we have noticed is that last half an hour between 9 and 9:30, a lot of individuals are trying to come. So you could be waiting in line just to park for 30 minutes, and then you could be waiting another 30 minutes just to get into the facility. So I highly encourage the earlier, the better with this facility. Let's see. Seating, as I mentioned, first come, first serve. It is general seating. We do not have any assigned seating. For ADA parking, and I will kind of bring in ADA seating here, there are some ADA parking spots that will be labeled upon arrival. Please note, we have less than 40 spaces. So what I would highly recommend if you have someone with limited mobility is possibly to drop them off at the main entrance and then continue on and go parking. Just so you all know, ADA parking is first come, first serve as well. So we don't have that reserved. And you need to make sure you also have a ADA hang tag within that as well. Going into ADA seating, I will show you in a map, but we do have ADA seating and the entrance is on the south side. The reason for it being on the south side is so people don't have to navigate any steps. And so we have a different entrance for those within the ADA seating in order to be accessible and accommodating to those guests. And I'll show you that and it's also less walking to the front of the building. Restrooms located in various locations. It's a concourse, like a regular athletic arena facility. And then first aid, fire, we do have them on site should there ever be an issue that anybody has. And I think I just have like one or two more of the frequently asked questions, and I can pause for a couple of questions. Another question people ask is programs. We are a very sustainable campus, so all of the programs are digital. We have it directly on the website. So if you know the website and it's already on your phone, we will have it on the website a couple of days before the ceremony. So you can always look at it. You can always forward it to individuals. And we'll also have QR codes on the day of the ceremony. So you can always take a snapshot of the QR codes and pull up your program. That program will live on the website in perpetuity. So if you don't see it the day of, but you want to see it in a month from now when you're doing a celebration and a month after, it will be on the website there, and it'll just be in the archive section. And then everyone always asks me photography because they want to make sure their graduates get a wonderful photo. So we actually bring in an outside professional organization called Grad Images. That's what they do is they come and they'll take photos. They're going to take 2 to 3 photos of every single graduate as they're approaching the stage. So what will happen is graduates will get, I don't have it, of course, on me, but graduates will get a little name reader card. And on the name reader card, they can fill out their information. We will give that information to Grad Images so that way every student can get an email of their pictures and they can decide if they want to purchase them or what if they want to send it to their aunt and their aunt wants to purchase them. And so we do have professional photographers there. And then strollers and wheelchairs. Because of the facility, yes, strollers, yes, wheelchairs are allowed in the facility, but they cannot be just like on random ramps and they cannot try to be wedged within the different seating areas. So we just ask that they're placed in the aisles under, like they're not placed in aisles and they're placed like in places that are like along the concourse or by the front door or something along those lines. Again, it becomes a fire hazard and a safety hazard if we try to put them in the aisles. Let's see if I have any more. Nope. Okay. So I'll stop before I start getting into the kind of the rest of it. See if there's any other questions that I have not addressed that you've seen come through.
Good question. How do I find out which ceremony I'm part of, the AM or the PM?
Well, that'll be the next section. So just hold tight and I'll let you know. And it's on the website if I'm not being as funny.
And then just another question about the ADA seating. If my grandma needs access seating, should I reserve 2 seats so my grandpa can sit with her even though he might not need it?
Yep. So what we do is we have the ability to have the capacity to have the guest plus 1 additional guest to help accompany them because a lot of times they need additional assistance and so we try to accommodate them. So yes, I would do 2 seats so that way they have somebody that can assist them. Absolutely.
And then another just seating question. Is there a way to know which side to sit on to better see our graduate?
There is, and I will at the end, if you remind me, or I'll make a note real quick. We just finished the seating today. So it'll be kind of ugly and gross, but I can pull up like what side people are sitting on. So I apologize. It's going to be ugly in advance, but I'll grab that now if there's any other questions that I can answer.
About cords. There's a couple questions about cords as well.
Yeah.
So,
I can just generally answer stuff about cords and you can let me know if I miss anything. For honor cords and outstanding graduate cords, there's a couple ways to find out if you have received it. One is you can talk to your advisor and then you can pick up either honor cords or outstanding grad cords at the cap and gown pickup, which I'm going to type it in the chat because I don't know if I have it in the chat. So cap and gown pickup is April 28th and 29th. It's going to be at the Lawrence Street Center on the 2nd floor. And you can pick up your honors cords and your outstanding graduate cords there. And we will have a list in case your advisor has not referenced or told you that yet. As far as alumni cords or philanthropy cords, our alumni table is going to be at cap and gown pickup too. So if you're a student and you've donated and you have a philanthropy cord, or if you have a legacy cord where you've had a parent or what have you attend CU Denver, you could pick that up there. And then the last one that we'll have at cap and gown pickup will actually be, I think you all will have a couple of stoles there. So I know it's not cords necessarily, but I think it's first gen and displaced. What is the title again? I'm sorry.
Displaced Terrarians.
Displaced Agrarians. So those will all be at cap and gown pickup. And then the last big cord that folks ask about is veteran cords. That will actually be day of at the ceremony. The student veteran table will be at the ceremony. As far as any other cords that are affiliation cords, those will be directly through the organizations you are a part of. So I would reach out to the directors of those organizations, or if there's a certain student group you're a part of, reach out to the presidents of those student organizations. Did I cover all the cord questions?
I think so. There was one that says they're from out of state and they don't get in until after cap and gown pickups. They basically get here right before commencement. How would they obtain their cords?
So all the cords and all of the stoles that I just listed out will also be at the morning or the afternoon ceremony. So you can either get it at your college or school table, or the Herf Jones, which is the regalia table that will be downstairs. We just try to really encourage folks to go to cap and gown pickup. Anything else that I'm missing so far?
Will we be able to return our regalia at the after the ceremony?
They Herf Jones will be on site and they will have bins. So if you have your cap and gown and you're picking it up on campus, you'll be able to return it right there. If you ordered your cap and gown where you'll had it shipped to your home, you can do it one of two ways. It came with a return label, and so you can either return it from home using that return label, or you can drop it off in the bin right after your ceremony. The big thing I'll note is make sure you are returning your regalia, because each regalia has a little chip in it. And so they know exactly which regalia is associated with person. And I don't want anyone to be charged a fee for not returning their regalia. So please know that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. I'm going to keep just rocking and rolling, and feel free to just cut me off if you see any other questions coming through the chat.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, sure, Michelle. Yeah.
Thanks. So is there limited seating in ADA? I mean, I understand why you would only want to sit together, but as a family, we would like to be able to sit together, and has limited mobility. Is there flexibility around being able to sit as a small group?
The hard thing with the ADA seating is it is limited as far as space. So we really are trying to accommodate those who cannot utilize stairs, or they have walking limitations. And we have in the years past have hit capacity with it. And so we really want to make sure we're accommodating like the wheelchairs, the walkers, people with oxygen who can't really go very far, people who might have had a broken leg or something like that. So we try to really accommodate those individuals right off the bat. If you are seeing throughout the ceremony that there is a lot of open seat, yes, we can accommodate it. However, the only issue is you'd have to go back outside and come back through the ADA spot. So
got it.
It's not a great answer, and I apologize for that. But we really want to just make sure that those who really need to not be able to navigate stairs have that ability to do so.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm going to keep rocking and rolling. Thanks for the questions, everybody. I appreciate that. So as you can see, this is the morning ceremony. Morning ceremony is at 9:30 in the morning. So we have the business school, we have College of Architecture and Planning, and we have College of Engineer, Design, and Computing. So those are the three ceremonies that are going to be taking place at 9:30. That does include all of the PhD students, all of the grad students, and all of the undergrad students in those three colleges. So I think I mentioned it earlier, at 8 a.m., both graduates and guests are allowed to enter into the facility. We'll have doors open. And then at 9 o'clock, we'll have the graduates. They'll get situated because they have to pick up their name cards, all of those things, head on downstairs, and then the graduate lineup will start at 9. It just takes a long time to get 900 students in order. And then 9:30, pretty much sharply, we'll start the processional, where we'll play the alma mater video and we'll have all 900 students do that amazing walk into the facility where everyone's standing and cheering, and it's so exciting. And then I would say, I would estimate right now, we just did a real quick estimate. It's about 11:30 is when the ceremony would end. So I would plan on 2 hours being there. We do ask everybody to stay seated, and we do ask graduates not to leave early, just to show recognition for all of their fellow graduates. So if they do happen to be one of the first ones to get their diploma, we want to make sure that everyone sticks around, so that way we can have everybody cheering on each other throughout the entire ceremony. And then when we go, oh, it still says morning, but that should say afternoon. I apologize, folks. I was going a little too fast. So for the afternoon PM ceremony, it starts at 2:30. The 4 colleges are College of Arts and Media, College of Liberal Arts and Science, School of Education, Human Development, School of Public Affairs. So those are the 4 colleges and schools that will be going in the afternoon ceremony. And again, it'll be PhD, master's, and undergraduate. So 1 o'clock will be that entrance time for everybody. 2 o'clock, grads will line up. Processional will start at 2:30, and then the ceremony ends right around 4:30. So perfect to either have a really pretty brunch before or dinner right after.
All right. And we have a question. Since you're on
Yeah.
the schedule for AM PM,
Yeah.
if someone is a double major, do they
Mhm.
walk twice?
So it depends. What they can do is, if they are in the same ceremony, so let's say that both of their colleges are in the 2:30, then they would have to choose one of those colleges, just because logistically speaking, we set students based on how they're going to walk on stage. So if it's in the same ceremony, I would say pick your primary major. I know some people are like, I don't have one. Pick the major you love more and the professor you love more and walk with them. But one thing I will say is, please ask us, like at the end of the ceremony, for a second diploma cover if you would like one, and we'd be more than happy to make sure you get that second diploma cover. If you are in a morning ceremony and an afternoon ceremony, so let's say you're College of Arts and Media, and then in the morning your business school, yes, you can walk in both. You'll just need to get a second name card at the registrar's table when you're checking in, because we only print 1 name card per each student. And then just make sure you turn your regalia in when you're done with it at the end of the day. Yes, someone asked, is it Saturday, May 17th? Yes, it is. That would be bad if I didn't tell you that. So thank you for asking that. Okay, so here is the map for everybody. So as you can see, we have some ADA parking here, some here. What folks will do is they'll come in through this entrance right down here, past the facility, and then they'll park, and there's a giant parking lot all right here that can fit hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of cars. And then as you walk, you'll walk up the sidewalk here. This is where the ADA entrance. We'll have some volunteers outside to help navigate. We'll have some signage outside to help navigate. But the ADA entrance, that way you don't have to accommodate a very high hill. That way you don't have to accommodate any stairs. But what I would also recommend is, if you want, and someone's not an ADA, but they just don't want to do that 10-minute walk for whatever reason, whether you have young children, someone can walk, they just can't walk that long distance, is I would just drop them off here so they can go to the main entrance before you continue down to the parking lot. But as a guest, walk up the sidewalk. The grads will enter in right here on that south entrance. Guests will come around and they'll enter here through that entrance right there. So it's all kind of on the same side of the building.
Where's the giant parking lot you mentioned?
It's on the left side right here. So you'll see this ADA parking, and it's like this whole section to the left.
Wonderful, thank you.
Absolutely. And everybody parks there. So grads park there, volunteers park there, faculty parks there. So that's the other reason I say first come, first serve, because there was going to be probably 9,000 people trying to get into that facility. And if you can, I would definitely carpool as much as you possibly can.
And I was just going to also add, The way I have to get to the facility is off of I-70, and so I do highly recommend that you arrive the same time your graduate has to arrive, just because sometimes I-70 can get a little backed up. So you are really going to want to get there early.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. All right. I'm going to see if I can navigate the seating chart real quick. Again, I apologize in advance. It is very much a working document in the sense of we use it to navigate where students are sitting. So I'll let's see if I can do this real quick. So in this blue section, so if you're looking at the stage right here, in this blue section real quick, I'm going to look at the AM. We'll have the College of Business and the doctors. So in this green and blue section, you'll see the PhDs in green right at the front, and then we'll have College of Business all right here within green and blue. On this side, we'll have CAP, School of, my brain just like literally turned off.
College of Architecture and Planning.
Architecture and planning. I'm like, what was the A? I'm like, it's planning. And then we'll have engineering. So in the red and yellow, architecture and planning, and then engineering. And so that's all the morning session. In the afternoon session, we'll have we'll have education, and we'll have, so in this green and blue section, we'll have doctoral students in both locations. And then we'll also have, let me see, education and human development, all in this green and blue section. And then we'll also have College of Arts and Media within this green and blue section. Over on the yellow and red section, we will have, sorry, I'm looking at a couple different things real quick. We will have School of Public Affairs and Liberal Arts. So red and yellow, School of Public Affairs and Liberal Arts. So that's the most I'd be able to tell you specifically, because the way students actually sit is based on how they line up, and we don't line them up alphabetically. They line up just kind of how they want to line up, and they line up a lot of times in groups or friends and things along those lines. We typically always have PhDs in the wayfront, and then we have master's students of that college, and then undergraduate students of that college. So
You say arts
I don't
and
know if it helps. Say that one more time.
sciences, where was that?
College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. They are in this yellow and red section.
Yellow and red.
Yeah. So if you're looking at the stage, they're on the left side. Cool. So with that, these are the main websites you will need. So went a little too fast. So if you go to the ucdenver.edu/commencement, everything that I just kind of review, almost everything. We haven't put like maps or anything on there for where students are sitting, because that was still something we were working on. But all the information as far as what time and all of that is located on the commencement website. And then if your students have any questions, have them reach out to us at commencement@ucdenver.edu. I just want to make sure that I note that if you're asking something about your student, if you're not, I can't give you that information. So that's why I highly encourage students to reach out to me, is because then I'm able to provide them a little bit more information, especially if you're asking about student specific things like, did my student register? Or who did they put as, like, how many guests did they put as ADA? I won't be able to let you know that. So please have your student reach out to me on that. I am going to show you the website real quick before we go to additional questions. But essentially, if you go to the website, and it's literally ucdenver.edu/commencement, this is what will come up. So you can navigate here, and this will tell you Saturday, May 17th. It'll talk about our clear bag policy and prohibited items, along with a cute little button. It'll remind you what time the ceremonies are for which school and colleges. And then we have all of these fun buttons about ceremony schedule, location, parking, some accessibility information, commencement frequently asked, regalia. And then you can navigate this a couple different ways. You can either go to information for if you're a graduate, you can click here, friends, family, guests, go here. You can also find that up at the top where it says information for graduates, friends and family, faculty and staff. So if you're clicking on friends and family, you'll see right there, doors will open 90 minutes before each ceremony. We encourage early. It talks a little bit about our clear bag policy and other safety things like the magnetometers. And then we go into some of the frequently asked questions and information. So location, parking, ceremony schedule, accessibility. And I know a lot of people want to know kind of what their graduates are doing. So you can always navigate to the graduates page. And it has like their registration right there. So it says like registration's open till April 13th. And then it also just does kind of a list of all of the things that they should be thinking of. When cap and gown pickup is, for example, that's a big one that's going to be coming up soon at the end of the month. It reminds them to share the information with family and friends. And then it also goes through a little bit of like the checklist of what graduates should be doing. So one big thing that we added this year was the phonetic spelling guide. And students get little name reader cards. And if they have a name that has historically been hard to pronounce or mispronounced, then these are some ways that they can handwrite in a phonetic spelling. And it just gives them little tips and tricks on how to do that. And then again, it has a bunch of questions related to graduates about location, parking, the ceremony schedule, regalia. They have a lot more questions about what's going on. And then if you're not finding exactly what you want, there's a general frequently asked questions page that's a compilation of all of the questions that folks ask. And so you can always navigate there. Again, if you don't find your question here and it's not a specific related to your student, please feel free to email the commencement email. And we monitor that, and we typically try to get back to you within like 2 days. All right. Well, I think that is my quick spiel. And so I'll turn it over to you all to see what other questions I'm missing. I mean, I see the first one, the first generation cords. First generation, we have stoles. So that can get, were you going to answer that? Because that's your area.
I was going to read it. I was like, oh, I actually help a lot with first gen as well. So yeah, the first gen, it is a stole. It's a pretty white stole and it says first gen on it. And it has anyway, you'll see it when you get it, but it will be available at the cap and gown pickup in the Lawrence Street Center, 2nd floor during the cap and gown pickup. It also will be available at commencement. So for some reason, if you're out of state or if you can't make cap and gown, we will have them available at commencement check-in as well. And yes, if you are a master's student and you have not previously graduated from CU Denver and received a first gen stole, you will be eligible to get one.
Other questions am I missing? Anything?
Can I ask a question just about the cords? Is it because I'm seeing people write all kinds of things, or distinction cords and first gen, well, that's a stole, but there's lots of cords for lots of different things. Is it like a pile and it will say, my student's name and her pile of cords, or is she going table to table and she has to know what cord she's getting and they'll have a list and she's got to check in at all these tables?
Yes to the latter, except it's not that many tables. So like the outstanding and honors, which is a university issue cord, which is why we have it at cap and gown. It's one table and we have the list. So it'll have their name on it and it'll tell us they have outstanding grad and they have outstanding honors or just one or none. The philanthropy cord, that is like another table because that's our alumni association that oversees it. And they have both the philanthropy cord and the legacy cord. So if they've had a family member graduate from CU Denver. As far as affiliations, so if they are part of different student clubs, a lot of times how they get those cords is they have special receptions or dinners or ceremonies. And so they'll get their cords from them. The reason those are not at cap and gown pickup is because that's not a overall university wide initiative and not a university wide cord. That is something very specific to an organization. And we have dozens upon dozens of organizations. So I would have your student check in with those organizations because they usually have regulations of how they get their cord and how they could be eligible for it.
Thanks, that helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of questions in the chat. So assigned seating for students. Is there assigned seating for students? If I have friends in the same major, can we sit together, or is it alphabetical? What does that look like?
It's not alphabetical. It's not assigned seating. It's assigned sections. So like all of liberal arts will sit together, like all the masters will, all the undergrads will. But as far as an assigned seat, we don't. And so that's why the name reader cards are super important, because that's how your name gets read. Is you'll go up to the stage, you'll hand them your name reader card, and that's how they'll read your name. They won't like be reading it alpha order. If you want to sit with your friends, I would recommend, so as you walk in 2 by 2, and then you both go together to the left or both go together to the right. So I would say if you have a friend, just literally walk hand by hand, hand in hand, or at least just walk right next to each other. And if you're walking next to each other, you can sit next to each other. But we will line you up. Like we have huge, like 30-foot signs and stuff like that. So we will line you up by your schools and colleges. And that's kind of what takes like that 45 minutes, hour-long process, is to get everyone into the different schools and colleges and in the right sections. And we'll have a bunch of volunteers there, school representative, college representatives, to help navigate you while you're there. I do see some questions about magna cum laude and stuff like that and honors. One of the things with those is there's not, and I see that how there's multiple answers to it. And the answer is yes, because every school and college has a different GPAs or requirements. So every school and college is a slightly different. So there's not an overall university, like you have to have 3.7, a 4.0 in order to get those different. Every school or college kind of tweaks it based on what they want to honor it as. So that's why I said, just go to your advisor and they will let you know if you're getting an honor cord and if you're eligible for those. Questions am I missing?
I think we got all of them. Yeah, if anyone had posted a question that it didn't get asked or answered, please go ahead and either repost it, or if you would like to unmute yourself, go ahead and do that. And so the next one, are there graduation speakers?
Sometimes, this year we do not have a graduation speaker, but sometimes we try to find alumni if they're available. And we always try to have an alumni be our graduation speaker so they can speak a little bit to their love of the university. We were not able to get one this year. We had one and their schedule altered, so we weren't able to have one, which allows us to be a little bit more student-centered, which is what we did last semester, and we actually got really wonderful reviews for that. Wear gold medals in addition to cords. I think it depends what the gold medal is. If it's an academic accolation, yes, but I am not familiar what gold medal it would be. I haven't seen those, so I don't know what it would be for. I would talk to your advisor and I would talk to your college about what that medal is for. But typically, if it's an academic recognition, we typically say yes. As long as you're wearing the robe, you can add some accessories.
And I
All
think
about
there was a
accessorizing.
question about the photos. How does the photo process work? Will there be someone taking photos of graduates? How do they get access to those photos?
Sure. So Grad Images is a company that we partner with. They will be on site. They bring, I think, 6 different photographers there. And so they'll be on both sides of the stage. They're going to be taking at least 2 pictures per each graduate, typically one with a handshake, one when they get their diploma cover. And so just have your students ready to like smile as soon as those are happening as they cross the stage. And then when they hand in their name reader card, it should have their email on there. If it doesn't, make sure they correct their email. And that card also gets sent to Grad Images. And so Grad Images will email your student and I think it's typically within a week, email your student with their photos. So that's how they'll get them. And if you don't hear from Grad Images, you can always email them directly. The parts of regalia that need to be returned, yep, just the gown. If you're a master's student or PhD, the gown and the hood, unless you have purchased your hood. So really the thing that you're keeping is your hat and your tassel. Unless there are people who have decided to buy different accoutrements, but that's the general rule. How can you purchase the hood? You just contact Herf Jones directly. If you can't find their information on the website, let me know and you can just email the commencement email. I'm seeing if I can find Alex's email very quickly. Can graduates purchase their gown? Yep. So here's Alex's direct information. I'll throw that in the chat.
Great. And since we're on sort of gown and regalia, what needs to be returned to Hef Jones? Is it just the gown? Is it the cap? What can graduates keep?
If it's the rental and you're doing the regular rental, then you can keep the cap and the tassel, and then everything else you have to return. So the gown and the hood, you'll have to return unless you purchase it. And I just put Alex's information in there, but it's also on the website if you want to purchase anything. Any other questions?
There's one, will they email the student accounts or should they provide personal emails? I'm not sure. I do recommend most likely the student account is where things most go.
Correct. Yeah, I would say your student account, just because there are not Herf Jones, Grad Images will have the list of the student emails. And so there's less likely for them to like mistype it or something along those lines, or handwriting sometimes gets a little sloppy day of. So I would say stick with your student email. Most of the cards should already have the student email on there. So yeah. Stoles and cords, yep, those are totally yours to keep. That is your honor. That is your recognition. I don't know how long students have access to their email accounts. I have students who have graduated over a year ago still emailing me because they weren't able to walk before. So I know at least 2 years because people are still emailing me from then.
It's actually my understanding that it's your account forever. So your CU Denver email account is yours. And if you want to continue to use it, you are welcome to do so.
There is not a map on the website. The only map on the website is if you click on like in the location and parking, then it has like a Google map to the Denver Coliseum. Because this map that I showed you is very rough looking. Is the school Google Drive also able to be used? That I don't know. That would be within your school or colleges. You'd have to ask them.
Yes. Yes, that is definitely ask the school or college, because as a university, we don't typically use Google Drive. So talk to your faculty in your school and college.
I'm just gonna share my screen really quickly because people are asking about the map. So you all can take a quick little snapshot of it, because this is probably most likely not gonna go up on the website. So you all got some insider information. So I have it up right now, so you all can take a quick screenshot of it or take your picture up or take your phone out. Any other questions? As I said, like, use the commencement email as a resource. Try to find out on the commencement website. As I will say, as we start getting closer to commencement, I really, really try, and the people in our office really, really try to answer things. But once Thursday hits of that week, all of us are hands on deck because it takes us a couple of days to set up the arena. So we try. So either ask your questions now on the commencement email, or try to find it online. I'm just being very, very honest with you that we have hundreds of volunteers setting up things starting a couple days before. And sometimes we get very overwhelmed with the amount of emails that come in. So I want to make sure we can answer all your questions.
Could you also show the inside map one more time?
Mm-hmm. And since it's an arena, people are sitting all the way around. And again, I know that you're recording this, so you can always reference it back, listen to my wonderful, wonderful, fun voice. But if anything, you can always put it on mute and just look at all of these screenshots too. Oh, thank you. So you took the screenshot of it. Beautiful.
Put it in there. And then to get out of the parking lot after, is
Mhm.
there an estimate of how long that could potentially take?
It depends how long you stay to take pictures and stuff. So it really depends. Like if you like come on out and like you're parked towards the front, you can probably get out pretty quickly. But if you park like way in the back, or if you decide to stick around and take photos, know that there is going to be a cross where some people are coming in early for the ceremony while you all, if the morning ceremony is leaving. So just know that there's also a cross traffic. So I've heard everywhere from like 2 minutes to 30 minutes. So I know that's super not helpful, but it all just depends on the circumstance of what you're doing, where exactly you're parking, what time you're leaving, what time you're getting there.
And I want to be
Sorry.
respectful of time. So I know we have time for maybe a couple more questions. But going back to grad images, is that something that students are automatically enrolled in and should look for the email, or do they need to sign up somewhere?
They are in a sense, because Grad Images has their information, and Grad Images will get the stack of reader cards that has their email address. So they are in that sense, but it's not something you can like go online and like register for or anything like that. It's predominantly just making sure students check their name reader card and that it has all the correct information on it, because that's what they go by. But again, you can always email Grad Images directly if you don't get an email within a week or two. Give them your student's name, give them what college you're with, what time they walked, if it was the morning or afternoon. And then sometimes what they do is they say, hey, can you give us a picture of you at that day? So that way they can scroll through their photos and find your photo. Because some students, day of, they do cross off their email because they are like, oh, I don't want Grad Images to have my information. But then they forget that by doing that, they're now not sharing their information to get their photos. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Marissa. This has been most informative, and I hope you all got your questions answered. Again, congratulations to the grads. I know there's a few weeks left. You all have made it this far. You will, continue strong. Again, if you do have any questions, you can always email the commencement email, and you can always check out their website. I always get a bunch of folks asking me questions, and honestly, my go-to is the website. It has typically most, if not all, of the information that I need. So I will put that in the chat just one more time, the website and the email address, in case you all missed it or needed it. And then also one more thing. This will be posted on the CU Denver family website. I put that link there as well so you all can have access to the recording.
Perfect. Well, thanks again for